Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. As you can see, I'm not in my home office. We are at a wonderful co working space in the downtown Houston area. We are locally located and serve our local clients. If this is your first time joining us, my name is Monique Carlisle, and I am the business optimization and automation coach with Midas Web, and we specialize in growing your business. So we come on every day at 12 noon Central to talk about business strategy, tips, tricks, ideas, things for you to utilize and grow your business with. Then we take that strategy and we fulfill it with various AI tools such as ChatGPT and others. Finally, we take that strategy and that fulfillment and we implement it with our automation system. So we are here at Midas Web, a reseller of the high level platform. So we encourage our clients to utilize that for their automation. But what we're talking about today can be used in any business. And today's topic is stale leads. Now, we've been talking about this concept this week and going over how to reconnect with them and different things that you can use to reach out and re-engage those stale leads, whether they are a week old or a month old or even a year old. Now, as you're sending out these leads, today we're talking specifically about email and text message campaigns and a little bit of social media, but be careful when you're sending emails out to these cold leads, because if you're using a dedicated sending domain, which we will talk about, then you want to protect that and make sure that you're sending out to people who will engage with the email and not click spam or unsubscribe. If you have too many unsubscribes too quickly, it'll flag you as a spammer, as a spam account holder, and then they will block your sending domain and you'll have to use a different one. That's why it's always important that you have a sending domain that is separate from your core domain, from your root domain. So, for example, mail.businessname.com or emails.businessname or system. So you want to have these subdomains, and there's lots and lots of research out there on email deliverability. We're not diving into that today, but you can definitely log into our open office hours that happens right after today's training, and I will be happy to talk a little bit more about that in detail. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, stale leads are those people that you've met. So, we're not talking about a cold list. Okay, so the difference is a cold list is something you've scraped off the internet, you've bought a list, you've done all of those practices, you picked up random cards from a local networking group, and you never shook hands with those people. Now, those are cold lead lists. Never talked to them before. Stale leads, on the other hand, are those who you've met. So you've shaken hands. Maybe you've had a meeting with them. You've had a one-to-one. You might have even gotten close to doing business with them. And then for some reason, you lost connection. You stopped talking to them. They weren't ready to move forward with your business, or they got busy, or you just lost touch. Those are stale leads. Again, stale leads are those you have met and shaken hands with before. When we're trying to re-engage with those, the primary reason, is because that's possible business sitting on the table. Those stale leads had a warm connection with you at one point. You exchanged pleasantries, you got to know them and their business. They might even know and remember what you do. You're not top of mind right now. There's lots of ways to avoid having a stale list. We're not talking about that today. That's a whole nother training. We're talking about that it happened. So you have 30 days, 3 months, a year stale, and you need to reconnect. So we talked a little bit about ways to re-engage them, such as events. So you can do a wonderful free informational event. Watch our training from yesterday to kind of see those details and how to create those. Today, we're going to talk about the actual message. So, as mentioned in the previous training, you can pick up the phone and just say, "Hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. Let's reconnect. Let's have a one-to-one. Let me show you what we're doing." And you would, of course, invite them to the event at that time. Wonderful strategy. You can also send a text message with a similar message. That's really only useful if you have a small stale leads list. If you have hundreds of leads, you don't want to call hundreds of people. You want to send out something like an email or a mass text or even a social media campaign that invites them to those events and gets them to re-engage. And that's what we're talking about today. So some tips and tricks for sending out proper emails. One is personalize it. So when you're looking at your stale leads list, one way to personalize it is to categorize them, to sort them. So whatever your event is, the informational session that you're offering for free, again, Zoom is free. You can do 40 minutes up to 99 people. And we're talking about 30 minutes of your time to re-engage these people. So you want to look at what is the topic that you are engaging them with. Then look at your stale leads and decide who's going to resonate with that topic the most. So you might have to do a little bit of legwork if you haven't done active filtering and you're not tagging them properly. If you don't have those pre-categorization done, that is the legwork you'll have to do. Because if you're sending out, let's say you have 1,000 leads that you need to reconnect with, and 100 of them are in this specific niche, and that's what you're focusing on, you don't want to send out 1,000. Right, that's going to get you 900. They're going to either unsubscribe or they're going to ignore you. It's just not going to bring value to them or their referral partners. There's strategies for telling them to share the email. But again, if it's a stale lead, they don't remember, might not remember exactly what you do. They're not ready to refer you. So again, you're providing value face-to-face directly to that potential client. So when you have that email campaign going out, you want to personalize it. If you are a B2B company, you want to personalize it with the business name, right? Hey, cleaning company, expand your lead list 3 times. Join us for our 30-minute seminar. If it's a person, you're a B2C company, so you're directing to the consumer, then you want to have their first name. I don't recommend putting first and last names, but that is a subjective decision that you'll need to make based on what you're offering. So, hey, John, learn how to inspect your roof after storm damage without climbing on top of your roof. Join us for our 30-minute information session. So you want to have that personalization in addition to having that categorization. So that's going to help increase your open rate. Another little trick that I found is putting an emoji in the beginning of your subject line, whether that's a firework or one of those bullhorn announcement emojis or even just a happy face. That seems to bypass the promotions tab on Gmail if you're sending to Gmail and put them in the main inbox tab. Of course, you want to be following email deliverability best practices, having your DMARC and your SPF and your DKIM set up. Make sure you have all of those pieces and you are sending through a dedicated domain. We'll tangent just a little bit to talk about dedicated domains. The way that I explain it to my clients is when you send an email, it goes out to a warehouse, right? A digital warehouse that holds everything from that root domain. That root domain, then that warehouse, then sends it out to the right people. So it's like a way station. If you're using a warehouse domain, such as Gmail, Yahoo, Outlook, those kinds, then you're having a warehouse that's shared by everybody else who uses Gmail. This is a very oversimplification, so just putting that out there. That means that if one person is not using that warehouse properly, they are spamming, they are sending out information that goes against best practices and regulations, well, that ruins the reputation of that entire warehouse. This is the reason that Gmails are commonly put into the spam box, because Gmail is a free email provider. It's accessible to anybody and everybody, and it is commonly used by spammers. So if you are using a Gmail to send your business emails, you definitely want a dedicated domain. And that's as simple as setting up, as we mentioned in the beginning, mail.mydomain.com or system.mydomain.com. Within the high-level platform, there is a way to create this very easily. I'll walk through that very briefly so that you can have that dedicated domain, and you're basically creating your own warehouse. So when you send an email with your dedicated domain, it goes to your warehouse that you are responsible for the reputation. Keep in mind, when you build that warehouse for the first time, it's going to have a 0 reputation, which means a lot of your stuff is going to go to spam. There's really very little you can do to go about that. There's a whole system and structure you can do to warm up your emails to avoid that, but it is a lengthy process. It is very nuanced, and that is something to talk about at a later time. For our purposes, we're going to keep it very simple. have that dedicated domain. If you can set it up, we'll talk about how to set that up with a high-level system. Let's shift back to the message. So personalize it. Make sure you're sending to a specific category of stale leads. Add emojis if you can, and keep it simple. So you really don't want to load up your email or your text message with a lot of words. You want it simple, straightforward. Talk about your value proposition of that training, the major benefit they're going to get. Save them time, save them money, save them energy. Those are the three main benefits that a company can focus on. So we're going to go ahead and jump into ChatGPT to develop these messages. And then I'm going to briefly show you the email creation platform and the dedicated domain on the high-level system. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to jump right into ChatGPT. All right, so you should be seeing ChatGPT right now. And we are on the prompt that says common roofing questions. Now, if you've seen the previous week's episodes, then you know that we are in the scene chat, that we have been in the same chat this whole time. And the reason for this is because we've asked ChatGPT to become a master roofer. So a lot of the conversation we're having with the GPT right now is all about the roofing industry. That's our target company for this week. And we did common questions, and then we went into events and what type of events can we have. We're coming all the way down. That's all conversation AI. That was a previous training. But here's a series of short focused workshops for the consumer to re-engage them, right? So this is what we talked about. And the next step is to create the messaging that's going to bring them in. So I'm going to actually continue this chat, and we're going to ask it to create the messaging behind these events. So let's pick an event so we can be very specific. Let's say understanding storm damage. So first we're going to compliment it. Awesome. I love these workshops. Let's work on number one. I'm going to copy paste the title just to give it some reference. I need to promote this event through emails, text messages, and social media. So I'm being very specific on its task. So first is its role. This particular chat window already has the role of the master roofer. So now we're going to come in and just give it a specific task. Board number one, the event number one, let's promote this event. Now I'm going to be more specific and tell it what I do and don't want it to do. Please use conversational language, highlight the benefit, the main benefit of coming to the workshop, and include a call to action to register. Include emojis, and I'm going to say as appropriate for the social media post. Please develop 3 emails, 3 texts, and 3 social media posts. So I'm being very specific about what I want it to create. I could not put a description of how many to develop, or I could increase that. Say you want 5. We're going to keep it down to 3, and we're going to let it do its work. All right, so it gives me the subject line. It tells me to address them by name. And I have noticed that when ChatGPT does emails, it does not automatically include the name and personalize the emails. So I would put their name right here. Hey, John, has your roof weathered the storm? Find out in our free workshop. So I would insert their name right here. So that might be something you have to do. You would read through this and make sure that it sounds good, it matches your vibe, your business tone and profile. Of course, you can tell it, make it more technical or make it more casual, whatever you need to do to adjust these. We're going to pretend like these are great and move on. So we have our 3 emails And then we have text messages. And here's an emoji. Now, about emojis in text messages. Text messages are charged, if you do an automation system, text messages are charged by segment. So a segment is about 150 characters. Emojis count for, I believe it's 70 characters all by themselves. So I don't recommend including emojis in the text message just because it does increase your cost exponentially, just putting a few in there. So I would delete these as I copy them in. And then we have our social media posts. This is great. We want the emojis in social media. We talked about how to do social media posts in a previous training, so we're not going over this today. But again, read through it, make sure it sounds good and it sounds like you. And then when you're happy, we're going to move on. Now you can continue, you can say, great, now let's do this, or please change it to this tone, this style, make them longer, make them shorter. So you could give GPT those kinds of instructions and it'll rewrite these. But let's say that these are great. So let's go ahead and create the first email. So I'm going to jump over into our sandbox. And we are going to first go into marketing. And then we're going to click on emails and go to templates. And I want to keep this organized, so I'm going to create a folder first. And I'm going to name this folder Storm Damage Workshop. Because I'm going to create 3 emails within this, and this will even allow me to create A/B testing templates. It'll let me create bigger workshop templates based on this. It just kind of keeps it organized. So we can either use the drag and drop editor. If you are familiar with code, you can do HTML or you can do it plain text. If you want to do a template, you can choose an email marketing template and choose from the hundreds and hundreds that are here and then modify them. So we're going to start from scratch just so that I can show you a few of the really cool features in the email builder. So it's going to have start from scratch. There are 2 types of settings in the email builder. So the first is a text box. So if you click inside the text box, you'll notice there aren't a lot of settings over here. All of your text settings are at the top. So you would just type directly into this box, message here, and then you could change it to being bold or not bold. You could change the font and do all of those really fun things like you would a standard text editor. The other type of element is all of the others. So when you drag in, say, an image, maybe this is your logo or a catching image that invites them to the workshop, maybe it's a flyer, you're going to have a lot more options. Especially with images, you can control the width and height. You can tell it what you want it to sit inside the box. So if I make this smaller, now it's on the left side, I can make it on the right, I can put it in the center. So you can control all of those settings and they're going to be on the left. And then when you choose something that is embedded, let's see, like a button, buttons are going to have all of their settings over here as well. So scroll through and kind of play with the different features. So we're going to first change this button. We're going to click on the button to open the settings. And then we're going to say register here. And then I would put the link right here. So www.register.com. So you put whatever URL leads to your registration link. This can be a form link as well. It doesn't need to be a web page. Let's grab our message. From ChatGPT. This is our subject. All right. Copy that, come back over here, and I'm going to put my message right here. Now, I don't want this that big, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to move it to the left. And of course, it doesn't want to work today. Okay. So I'm just going to delete that because something did not work. And let's say hi. And then we want to put a custom value again to personalize this. Custom values are up here in the top right where it looks like a little bar with the cursor. We're going to click on contact. Contact is the client's name. User is your name, the employee's name that is sending the email. So we're going to choose contact and choose first name. Adjust the rest of the setting. We don't need this register button because we have it down here, so I'll delete that. Date and time can also be a custom value. So we would put a appointment start date time. You could also put that in manually. Now remember, appointment start date time is related to the workflow event start event time. So you would need to add this to a workflow in order to have this custom tag go through properly. So you might want to actually put in the actual date and time. Okay. And then your name would be your username or the company's name. Again, we're going to go to custom values. And this time we're going to go to user, full name, company name is also a custom value. And that's going to be account. So account is the company information, user is the employee information. So if you wanted the account name, you would choose this one. And that's it. So from here, we just need to upload an image. You do have access to an entire media library where you can search for license-free images, roof, and find a pretty roof image of a house. That one, let's say roof damage. Let's get a little more specific. And just find one. There we go. Perfect. So now we have our email pretty much ready to send. The last piece we need to do is, of course, name it roofing email 1. Make sure to name it something that makes sense. This is an internal notation so that you know what this email is all about. Over here in the top right, you're going to have your settings button. This is going to be a default from and a default from name and from email based on the system settings. But if you wanted to customize that, then you could put that in as well. And then your email subject, that actually came from ChatGPT, so we're going to go grab that and move it over. And we want to add that custom value. So here's our custom value tag. It looks like a little shopping tag. And we're going to say first name, has your roof weathered the storm? And because it's a question, let's go ahead and make this sentence case instead of title case. And then we'll move this actually to our preview text. Pre-workshop, August 27th. And that's it. And click save. Now it's ready to send. You can send a test email from here. You can send this email as a template from the contacts tab and all of those things as well. Our last thing we're going to cover real quickly before we leave is that email sending domain that I mentioned. And to get there, you're going to go to settings and you're going to go to email services. This is specifically for companies that are sending out around 50,000 emails a week. So when you get that big, you will need a dedicated domain. We do not need this right now, so we're going to close out this pop-up, and you have to be connected to Lead Connector. So you can add other services like Gmail, Yahoo, and things like that. But if you're trying to set a dedicated domain, you have to have the Lead Connector email system. And then you're going to click on this button here, dedicated domain and IP. And from here, we're going to add the domain. You're going to type in your subdomain. It has to be a subdomain on your main domain. So let's just say it's mail.mycompany.com, and then you click add and verify. And that's about all there is to it. If you use a system like GoDaddy, Ionos, I forgot the other one, something like that, it may add those values for you because it is a DNS setting. And I just want to show you what it looks like when it pops up. Oops. Okay, so let's use one of my sister companies just so I can show you. Mail sample, add and verify. and then you'll see that it'll pop up, it'll say yes, and then it'll search for your domain provider, and then you just click to verify it, sign in with your domain provider, and all of the DNS settings will be set up for you. We will go through this in a more complete training at a future time, but this will help you get that set up, add those DNS records, and then you have a dedicated domain. I hope that was helpful to you guys. And again, if I can be of any more support, jump into our open office hours. Just click the link below, and I will see you right after today's training to answer any questions you have about business. We can soundboard strategize, talk about AI, or if you are using the high-level platform and need support there, we're happy to help there too. So again, click the link below, and I will see you in the Zoom room shortly. Have a great day.